Well, good morning. Out here in nature, as one does. Beautiful wife's car down there, her chilling in the air conditioning. Um, I'd like to pause from my normal Green River shenanigans and show you one of my favorite little things. Of course, double headlights for safety. Watch your head as you walk in. And this is an old mine. You can see some of that evidence of that copper there with that kind of greenish material as it permeates some of those cracks down there too. I don't see any copper in it, which is rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. Never know, I might be able to find some hand samples. Old rail there that goes down that way. The old timbers that exist down and around here. Some looks like mold, moss, mushrooms maybe. Oh no, this might be wood. Let's walk a little deeper into it, exploring some of the cracks and crevices. Got two headlights on just for double safety, if you will. Again, under normal circumstances, oh, hey, look at the moth there. Squirrel. Under normal circumstances, I would not say go into one of these mines by yourself because you could be dealing with air quality issues, cave-ins, but this is a pretty safe one. I've been in here before. I know what I'm doing. Oops, out goes the light. That's the terrifying limit. Alright, so, if I remember right, let's see here. I'm looking for this little copper band that I know is in here. I've seen it before. Maybe. You never know. Somebody might have came in here and done some mining before. But yeah, just, if you ever wondered what the inside of a mine looks like, let me adjust the camera here real quick. There we go. That gets a better view. So this mine wasn't that deep, only about 50 feet deep. So we're not, I mean, you can clearly see the entrance there. And if you kind of zoom back here, you can kind of see some of these, besides the moths, they're fucking everywhere in here. But you can see kind of some of these crystalline formations. So usually this green here is evidence of copper being in this area. So it is kind of trippy being in something like this, if you will. And there was a winze, what it would be called, right below me here, which is basically just a drop in the ground, which kind of coolish to explore, but obviously the ground is stable beneath me, at least what you'd hope. I was really hoping to find some copper for you guys, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be seeing any today, which is unfortunate. Maybe on the way out, you never know. You see things differently on the way out than you see them on the way in. So back this way a little bit. Yeah, there's more of that green kind of coloration on the wall there. And he has been picking at this a little bit, so I'm not the only one that knows about this, which is kind of interesting. Timber on the ground. See more of that crystallization. Yeah. It's interesting because can you imagine being the guy that has to handpick this? Because that's what it is. It's all handpicked. None of it is, actually blasted or anything like that, especially on something like this. Why waste your time and energy with dynamite, if you will? So, I'm still trying to find some of that darn iron seep. I know I've seen it in here, and I'm going to be really disappointed if I don't find it. How do I not provide you guys a good product? There's a little bit up there. I don't know if you can see some of that. Oh, there you go. Right in there. Can't get close to it because my phone will, but yeah. Nice little seam of shiny copper right there. Definitely not worth taking your time to pull it out, but definitely interesting to see. I mean, how often do you get to go inside of a copper mine? Well, that's, I guess, what I'm trying to do here is, there's like a little crack, a crevice. It did do a really good job at buttressing this up. I do suppose that this is the best evidence of that copper leaching through, coming down through the side. Might be able to find some hand samples. If I do, I will share them with you. A beautiful wife is awaiting me, so gotta do what you gotta do. Me again, a couple days later. I realized about 10 miles after I left in beautiful wife's car, which is behind me now, I didn't explain why the walls were green, why the copper in the walls was actually causing that. So I've got a couple hand samples here, not from this mine that we explored the other day, but from a different mine that's up near Gold Bar. Several copper mines up there if you ever get a chance to visit any of them. Anyways, I've got a couple of these hand samples here, and we'll get kind of close to them, and I'll also give you the reason why they're green, as well as what to look for. Anywho, let's talk about our friends here. These are all different hand samples, again, from mines that were up near the Gold Bar area. Several different mines. These are ones in particular from the Copper Bella mine, which is just above the town of Gold Bar, kind of near-ish to Wallace Falls, but not close to Wallace Falls. I used to camp up there a lot when I was a kid. My grandparents had a private campground up there. It was really fun to go to. But as we saw on the walls earlier, you see this kind of green, weird coloring that matches into these rocks. Now, mind you, I will say this is okay to touch. The cinnabar, not okay to touch. This isn't going to hurt you, if you will. But my focus on my camera. Oh, yeah, there we go. This is working really good tonight. So, again, you can kind of see that green hue. Wow, this is working really well tonight. I'm excited about that. Remember the last time where it wasn't working all that well. All right, let's try this one, too. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's the good stuff right there. So anyways, why is the rock green? And how do we know that that's got copper in it? Well, especially on this little guy right here. We'll see if we can get in there. There we go. Again, I've got the poker here for good measure. If we get nice and close in here, up in this area here, it is, I will admit, it's difficult to make out. And it kind of goes right through here as well. Those are little tiny bits of copper. It really is difficult to make it out along my phone. But these more green pieces that exist right and through here, that is oxidation. So copper, when it meets the atmosphere, if you will, acts much in the same way as rust. And depending upon what kind of chemical reaction it goes to, it can go through different colors. So in this case, green, if you will. Sometimes you get blue, sometimes you get purple. It just kind of really depends on what sort of oxidation process it's going through. So think of rust when you think of these kind of similar colors, if you will. We'll get close to this one here too. I'm not convinced that this piece doesn't have a little bit of silver in it here. Again, this is coming from the Copper Bella mine, which did do silver as well. But if we look here, again, we see some of these little silver giblets, if you will. But there's a couple of those little copper-toned ones, such as right there. Yeah, right next to that, right there. Perfect. God, this is working out really well. It's exciting. But again, you still kind of see that greenish hue, if you will, and all these little sparkly giblets that are over it. Again, if I can zoom in there. This is working incredibly well. I'm incredibly shocked. But again, these more shiny little bits here again. I'm not convinced that that piece doesn't have silver in it. And of course, we always got to finish off on the Big Mac Daddy. The big one is always the exciting one. Yeah, the zoom is working really well tonight. But again, here's that kind of green oxidization that runs through in this area here. And this is, you know, got a little bit of dirt still hanging in it. And if I had time, I would clean it, but I don't. But we can just, again, see kind of how that oxidation permeates through the rest of the rock. And, I mean, if we kind of scrape it off a little bit, you know, it acts as it would. But then we come up through here. Oh, yeah. Then we get into a lot more of that little crystallization. And sure as heck, there's some gold in there. So all goodies, all can be found out in the woods. Must address that this big beautiful piece of cinnabar that I showed you guys the other day has really come into its own. Again, we can see the gorgeous crystals that are along here, and I'll actually be donating this to the museum I work at, so catch it at the Black Diamond Historical Society here in a couple weeks. I'm really excited to actually have this piece go to them because it is just fantastic and it belongs in a museum. So hopefully this second part of the video, I guess you could say, makes up for the fact that I didn't tell you on Sunday when I actually filmed the original video why it does the thing that it does. But you still get to learn a little bit something extra, if you will. So again, that's your reason why those walls were green, is oxidation of the copper as it comes out of the wall and it seeps through, experiencing that kind of atmospheric interaction. It rusts, essentially. Little fact for you, but the Statue of Liberty over in New York, New Jersey is actually copper. It's going through roughly the same process as we speak. So kind of interesting to think about that the Statue of Liberty may be green someday. But again, just another reason why this world is so interesting, if you will. You know, the fact that we've got stuff like this that's so easy to access for many. And, you know, I'm here to share it for those that can't go out and necessarily experience it. So on to the next adventure as we do. Hope you'll enjoy me again. We'll see you then.